welcome to Jawaras. Let's continue building authorization server. In the previous part, we have shown the user the authorization interface where user can see the details of the logged in user, the client and the scopes which are being requested by the application. And he can either deny or allow. We added these two buttons, but these buttons do nothing for now. In this video, we will allow deny functionality where when the user clicks on this deny button, then authorization server will tell the client application that user has denied the authorization request. Okay, so let's do that. So this is the code which we wrote in the previous video. Now here I forgot to mention one thing. So once the user is valid, then we need to save the user's session as well. So I have created new user service here. So we go to user. Here we have user service, and inside user service we have save session method. So this will save the user session in requests session. So if I go to this method, so this is taking the user realm ID and HTTP session, and then we are storing the user's value in the session. Now since this authorization server supports multiple realms, and this may be the case that one user is using applications for different realms. In that case, we need to distinguish uh, whether the request is coming from realm 1 or realm 2 or realm 3 or so on. So while saving the session for the user, uh, we use realm ID as the key. So we will save one session with this key realm ID, and this will be the value. New user session user. Now the user session has three things: the user, this is logged in user, and then what is the expiry time. So because we want session to expire at some point of time, so for now what we are doing is after the successful login of the user, the session will be active for 5 minutes, and after that we are getting the client information, and then we are presenting the authorization interface to the user. Now let's see how to handle the deny request. So let's go to authorization interface, this template file. Here we have these two buttons, but they don't have any link, so where user will be redirected or something like that. I copied the code here. So authorization interface template needs two model attributes: deny action URI and allow action URI. So let's pass these attributes from the controller. So here let's say model dot add attribute, and we can say um, deny action URI, and we can do this realms, then realm ID, auth, then auth request ID. So realms, realm ID, auth, and then auth request ID deny. So we will create this endpoint shortly. Then model dot add attribute, allow action URI. So this will be the same, but deny will be replaced with allow. And in this video, we will only focus on this deny endpoint. Okay, let's create this endpoint now. So this will be a get mapping, and it needs auth request URI and then deny keyword. Auth request URI, sorry, auth request ID, and after that deny. This is the get mapping. So we can say handle deny. Okay. Now first it needs a path variable for realm ID. Then another path variable for auth request ID. and let's take this model as well, and also let's take HTTP servlet request. Now first let's take this auth request. So what we'll do is auth request equal to this dot authorization service dot get auth request by ID. So we will try to get the auth request from the auth request repository. So if the auth request does not exist, then we are already handling invalid auth request exception. So if I go here, so if the auth request does not exist, then we are throwing this error, new invalid auth request exception. And if the client realm ID does not match, then also we are raising this exception invalid request. And both of these exceptions are being handled by auth controller advice. So we don't need to handle that here. Now we know that the auth request is valid. Now we need to check whether the user is logged in or not. User equal to this dot user service dot get logged in user, and here we can pass the request dot session, also the realm ID. So we don't have this method yet. Let's implement it. Create method in user service. Let's get the user session. So user session equal to user session dot get attribute realm ID. So it will get the session which is related to this realm ID. But if the user session is null, then we will just throw new user not found exception, and let's say it does not take any message. If I go here, okay, so let's create user not found exception, and it will be like this only. And here I will just say user not found, and we need to add throws declaration, I guess. Yes, so it will throw this exception, it will not handle it. So if it is null, we are doing this null. If it is not null, but in that case we need to check whether the session is expired or not. So if user session dot get expire at dot is before local date time dot now, that means this user session is expired before the current time. In that case also we will throw this error user not found exception, and here we can say session expired. Now otherwise we will just return this session dot get user. So we are returning the user here. Okay, now we have the user here. We need to handle this exception. So let's do that. Now first let's handle this exception. So if the user is so if there is no session, or if the session is expired, we need to redirect the user back to the login page. And for that we have this controller, this login controller, I guess. Yes, this one. So we need to redirect the user to this endpoint. So but we may, in order to do that, we need these all these query parameters. Now since we have auth request, so we can convert this auth request into query parameters. So I will do that in the authorization service. Map string query will be this dot authorization service dot get auth request map, and this is the auth request. Now let's create this method. So I will just create this method. We have auth request. So we are creating a map here, and we are putting client ID, redirect URI, response type, scope and state in this map, and we are returning it. So now here we have the query, and now we want to add all this query in the model. So model dot add all attributes, and we can just add query here. Now after that we need to redirect the user to the login page. So for that, instead of string, let's return model and view, and here let's return new model and view. And now we, since we need to redirect, so redirect to realm ID auth, but we don't need this auth request ID or anything here. So I think this is fine. So realm ID auth. So realm ID auth, and so this will be handled by this endpoint. But we need there those query parameters as well. So we need to include the model as well here. So I will just say model dot as map. Okay. So now we are handling if the user is not already logged in or the session has expired. Now we need to handle if the session is valid. In that case, we need to deny the request. So here I will just say this dot authorization service dot deny auth request and auth request. So this will deny the auth request. Now let's see what it will do. So let's create this method. So first of all, we need to understand what how how do we want to tell the client application that user has denied the request. So the common way is to redirect the user to redirect URI with error and error description, as we have already done in the previous videos. And here the error will be access denied, and error description can be anything like access denied or user denied access to your application, something like that. So we just need to throw an error which will be invalid auth request exception, and that will be handled by auth controller advice. So let's just throw that error, throw new invalid auth request exception. And since we want to redirect the user, so for that we need this constructor. We need to provide a redirect URI, error code, and error description. So let's do that. So first redirect URI will be auth request dot redirect URI. Then error code will be access denied, and error description we can provide anything. I will just say access denied by the user. So okay, I think, yeah, let's cut it from here and put it here. So now it is throwing this exception, and now the code will not go beyond this line of the request, but still we need to return something. So if something fails and if our code goes on this line 111, so I have this error.html page which is used to display some errors. So I will use this one. So what I can say is model.add attribute and error, and you are not allowed to access this resource. And after that, let's return this model and view. So instead of this one, the view name is error only, error, and model as map. Okay, so this is how we deny it. Now it's time to test it. So let's do that. I've saved it, and so now how do we want to test it? So first of all, in if we go to the session, so in the user session, the session will expire after 1 minute. So what we want to do is, first we want to log in, then we will see the authorization interface, and after that we will wait for more than 1 minute. so that the session expires, and then we will click on deny button. So we should see something like user session expired or something. And the second thing is we will click on deny button before the session expires, and then we should be redirected back to the redirect URI with error as access denied and error description as access denied by user. So let's test it. I will rerun the application, and I will copy that URL where we need to go. So inside auth.http, I will just copy this URL and I will paste it here. So now it is asking us to log in. If I go to inspect network, let's say username is user and password is something. So this user does not exist in our system. So we are getting this. Here we have JSession ID, but this session does not exist. So we don't need to worry about that. Now let's say user is user 2 pass 2. So this user exists in our system, but this is for realm Rust, not for realm Java. Click on sign in. We still see invalid username and password. Now let's log in with the correct username and password. Click on sign in, and we can see this page here. We go to login and cookies. So this was the request cookie, but this is the response cookie. So now from now on, this cookie will be used. So I will wait for more than 1 minute and then I will resume the video. More than 1 minute has passed. Now I will click on deny button, and you can see we are again redirected back to the login page. Let's log in again. So user 1 pass 1, and now let's click on deny. Now you can say we are redirected back to this sign in redirect URI. The error code is access denied and error description is access denied by the user. Okay, so this is how we deny the request. But let's go to this URL again. Let's log in with the correct username and password. Now in the next tab, let's go to this URL again, and it is again asking us to log in, but that is not correct because we are already logged in. We should just see the authorization interface. So uh, think of it like this way. Let's say you are logged into the Google, and a new application wants to sign you in with your Google account. Whenever you click on that button, you are not redirected to the login page of the Google again and again for different applications or for the one application at multiple times. Since you are already logged in, you just see the authorization interface where Google shows you like what the application can do on behalf of you, but it does not ask you to log in again. So we need to handle this case here. So for that, since we are saving the user session, so we can do that easily here. Now here, after getting the auth request ID by saving this auth request in the memory, now we want to fetch the logged in user. So let's just do that. So user will be this dot user service dot get logged in user. We need to provide the session. So we can get the session from HTTP request, and here request dot get session, and then we can pass the realm ID, and we need to handle this. So add surround with try catch here. Okay, so now here instead of throwing anything, we can just do this. So I will just cut it and I will paste it here. So what we are doing here is if the user is not if user does not exist, or if the session has expired, then what we will do is we will show the login page to the user. Otherwise I will do this. So I will get the client, and because in the authorization interface we need client and user, and we will create deny action URI, allow action URI. We will add these attributes to the model, and then we will present the authorization interface. But there is one thing to note here. So here as well we are doing all of these things. We are getting client and adding this client and user to the model, adding deny action URI and allow action URI to the model. Same thing we are doing here. So we can extract the all of this code in a new function. Let's do that. So I will just from here to here I will extract in a method, and method name will be present authorization interface, and it takes realm ID, model, auth request, user, and auth request ID. And now we can use this same method in here as well. So here as well, what we will do is return present authorization interface. We have realm ID, model, auth request, user, and auth request ID. Okay, so we are not doing any duplication of the code. Instead, we are reusing the code. Let's restart the application. I will click on stop and rerun. Let's copy this link and paste it in here. Now it's asking us to log in. So if we go in another tab, then also it's asking us to log in. Let's log in with correct username and password. So this is invalid username and password. Let's say user1 pass1. Now let's go to another tab and paste the same URL with the same realm ID and press enter. Then you can see we are just presented with authorization interface. We don't see any login screen. So that is how we handle the user session. So if the user is already logged in, we don't need to show login screen to the user. We can directly present the authorization interface. But while in the authorization interface, if the user's session has expired or user somehow created this page and they are not logged in, and if they want to click on deny, then also we need to redirect them back to the login page. So if I click on deny here, we can see we are redirecting back to the redirect URI with error code and error description. But here if I click on deny button, I am presented with the login screen since the session has been expired. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we will handle the allow request where where if user clicks on allow button, we need to generate the authorization code and send that back to the client application. Thank you everyone for watching the video. I will meet you in the next one. Bye.